Hello and good evening, everybody. So, I think today's stream is going to be pretty short. I always say that, but I don't know. I always end up streaming for about an hour anyway. Um, but there were some things that were pretty eventful today. Some blackpilling that I've been seeing alongside this big, you know, op this operation, this infiltration within the conservative movement. Blackpilling has been like one of the effective tools of, these infiltrators, these people who are masquerading as conservatives. And so there's one in particular that I've been very unpleasantly surprised by. And I think we need to talk about it. A general of sorts that is always countering the narratives. We actually began the day with some crazy news about the ICE shooting in Minnesota. So let's jump straight to that. So there was I believe there were like ICE protesters ever since the daycare fraud was kind of unveiled by Nick Shirley, a very young citizen journalist who made a 42-minute documentary and debuted it on Twitter, on X. He basically went door to door, showing the public that these daycare centers in Minnesota were basically frauds. They were scams, people who had storefronts for daycares, but there were no children in there. And when him and an independent investigator dug through the financials, they were finding that millions upon millions of dollars were going towards these daycare centers. And so ever since then, even the FBI has been very forthcoming that they were basically, putting more agents on the ground. And with that, because most of these daycare centers were being, if not all, these daycare centers, healthcare centers were being run by the Somali groups of Somalis. Um, there was a concern, I believe, that there were some that were not in the US legally. So hence why I'm prefacing all this, hence why I believe ICE was on the ground today. Now, today, there was an ICE protesters, as you guys can see. I feel like, we're back in the 2019 days when, sorry, I get really parched, when the BLM riots, the wildfires that were just like randomly, spontaneously combusting in the West Coast. I feel like this is kind of reminiscent a little bit. So you see like the radical liberals that like to intercept these operations like ICE raids, things like this. And they've been getting more and more bold lately, doing things like blockading ICE, chasing ICE down, harassing ICE agents, things like this. And so this is no different. There was a ICE protester that rammed or tried to ram ICE with the van that they were driving. And so I'm going to actually let Nick Matow, I think his name is Matu or something like that. He usually has great takes. I'm going to let him actually explain what went down.
All right, let's talk about it. Everyone's talking about it. Minnesota's about to pop off. And for those that don't really feel like watching this video, just want the answer, those saying that this is not a justified shooting by the ICE agent, you're just wrong. I was in the military for about 12 years, so I'm going to talk about rules of deadly force. Honestly, I think it's common sense, but some people need it. But first, I am a conservative. I support ICE wholeheartedly. A lot of my family is from Mexico. That side of the family, almost half the men, more than half, have served in the U.S. military. My father that raised me is from Western Samoa. He came to this country legally. They all got their citizenship. We love this country. But even as a conservative, I'm not one of the conservatives that just like automatically defends police officers shooting or ICE agents shooting. I will look at every individual video, and I have no problem being a conservative criticizing an individual if they do something wrong. I don't care who it is. So much so that when my friend texted me about it, I went on X and I saw the other angle from the other side of the vehicle, and I was like, that doesn't look right. But then I saw this angle. So rules of deadly force, right? I'm not going to bore you. Certain commands had different wording on how they said it, but it was generally the same rules.
If you guys didn't catch that, so from one angle, it just looks like, I'm just going to back up here. because he is kind of going through this pretty fast, but I'm going to kind of go through this. I'm going to put this on silent so you guys can see the video. But at one angle, it does look like ICE is just kind of passively trying to stop the vehicle, the person who's driving the vehicle, and it looks like it was kind of like they were going to the side window and shot from the side window, but really the van, let me show you guys this. So really the van, let me show you guys. It's gonna come up right now. Okay, so this is the angle that was very popular today. And then there was another angle that was released where it showed an ICE agent in front of the car trying to stop the driver. And instead of stopping, the driver went forth and continued to drive into the ICE officer. All right, let me put his voice back on.
Rules of deadly force, right? I'm not going to bore you. Certain commands had different wording on how they said it, but it was generally the same rules of enforcement. There were 7 different requirements, and generally for this context, if you have somebody that is using a deadly weapon against you or another person's for self-defense or defense of others, deadly force is authorized. Is a vehicle that you can drive into another person considered deadly force or a deadly weapon? Yes, of course. Now, I've seen the comments. People are like, oh, well, she looked like maybe she was turning. First off, that was after the shot. But even if she was, that's not how deadly force works. You don't get to, go back with hindsight being 2020, get to look at different angles, 10 feet back, 20 feet back, slow motion, this video versus this video, and being like, well, he put himself, in front of the car, and she kind of maybe was turning away from him, so, that's not how deadly force works. It is about the reasonable belief of the person that utilized deadly force, in this case, the ICE agent, if their lives or others were at threat. And in this case, it's very easy to prove that he could easily have thought that, especially in a split-second decision. All these people, these comment warriors, and again, I looked at the videos. I was even about to criticize it at first until I saw this angle. Everyone's saying oh, well, look at this. Yes, you are looking at a video in your living room or in your bed in a calm situation, 10 feet to 20 feet back, at many different angles depending on which video you're looking at. It's not the same thing in real life. She was told to stop. She didn't stop. Now, I'm not implying at all that somehow not stopping for police or eyes should warrant the death penalty. However, she then lunges the car forward and drives, regardless of what her intentions may or may not have been. And I agree, we're never going to know. It's a very sad thing that somebody had to lose their life for playing stupid game. She pushes the car forward. He, before she even really turns and before the car actually even gets past him, had already taken the shot. It's as simple as that. No, I'm not going to be somebody, I've seen the comments also, I'm not going to be somebody that mocks this woman. It's a sad thing, but it's justified.
All right, so that's what it is. And I think I'm learning from other posts that this person who rammed the ICE agent and then got shot, fatally shot, I think it was I don't know if it was a lesbian. I think it was a trans person. I'm not quite sure. But basically, the wife was off to the side recording this entire thing and then was shouting that they had a child. And it's the mentality to think that you have children and you're still willing to put your life on the line by doing something stupid like that, and then look at what happened. I still think that it's very sad. I think that people getting tricked into this ideology is very sad because it can lead to death. Like, it can lead to things like this where it's extreme. This is why I dislike extremist ideologies, whether it's on the left or on the right. I just can't stand it, right? So that's where it leads to. Now, I know that let me actually preface this video because I kind of should have prefaced what this entire title of this video is. So the title of this stream tonight is Black Pill Bad. Black Pill Bad. And black pilling, like, if you guys remember back if you guys have ever seen The Matrix, you know that Morpheus is basically telling Neo, he's explaining what the blue pill and the red pill is. Red pill is basically like you're awake to reality, or awake to the matrix and the system that he's basically implanted in. What versus the blue pill, you just stay, you know, uh blissfully unaware of anything, and you could just keep on living through this matrix versus being aware, the red pill. Now the black pill, so, blue pill, red pill, very much a matrix originated idea, and a lot of people, throughout the years of our political, awareness, we always refer back to the blue pill, the red pill, and then red pill kind of transformed itself into something else with the manosphere and stuff like that. Anyway, red pill generally means that you're awake, you're aware of what's politically going on, and you're aware of corruption, things like this. Now, the black pill is nihilistic ideology. It's basically, you know, um, you're just kind of giving up on everything. You're giving up on life. You're giving up on voting. You're giving up on politicians. You're giving up on everything. And I believe that this is bad. I think that the black pilling I think it's natural for anybody to have a black pill moment where you're like, I just don't care about anything. I just don't care, because nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to do this or that. But at the end of the day, it's not good to be cynical of all the time about everything. And I think that black pilling is infectious, and that's why I don't think that it's a good thing. Now, here's the thing. This is why I'm prefacing this video with the black pill. Now, let me just preface even more before I go into who I'm going to talk about. Now, a few years ago, I was attacked. I was smeared online for defending this person, somebody that I didn't know. They don't know me personally, but it was he's a public figure, and he was smeared all of a sudden. And to me, that seemed like a big op. They swindled me into the smear campaign, saying things like, I must be part of this deep state operation, things like this. I mean, it was a whole other psyop, and it was more of like a sub psyop. Like, it was a very small group who were part of this whole thing. And it wasn't just me, it was other people, other influencers that were close to me, people like Red Pill Babe, if you guys remember her. We were all smeared for just defending this person. Now, the person that I am talking about is General Michael Flynn. General Mike Flynn. And I know that many people are gonna be like, "What? Why are you criticizing General Mike Flynn?" Well, General Mike Flynn has been doing some really weird stuff lately online, and I'm gonna show you guys a post. I'm gonna show you guys some screenshots, some screen grabs that I've grabbed over the course of the past year and a half. But lately, General Flynn has been like retweeting really weird people like Jackson Hink. I think his name is Hinkle, Jackson Hinkle, who is a self-proclaimed commie. He is very anti-American. He is always blaming Jewish people, always blaming Israel. Like, Jackson Hinkle is not a good person in my personal opinion. I think that he is anti-American. I think he's being funded and paid by our adversaries to say these things. He's like Team Maduro, team, all these adversarial leaders. So when General Mike Flynn is doing things like flippantly endorsing these people by retweeting them and agreeing with what they're saying, like, I have a problem with that, because you are a public figure and you have to be more aware of who you're supporting and who you're coinciding your rhetoric with. Now, General Mike Flynn, now, I don't know if you guys are on X at all. I'm very much on X. That's where the conversation is happening. But you know I come across these accounts like Shipwreck. So Shipwreck is one of these anti-Trump, anti-everything, like, just seems like one of these, in my personal opinion, one of these accounts that are here to demoralize Americans and to black pill them. Now, in this particular video, and I'm not going to go through this entire video, she posted a 5-minute video, which to me is just like way too long talking about this topic. But she's basically sanitizing blackpilling and why it's a good thing. And she literally says all the quiet parts out loud, like, we're just demoralized from voting, and it's just you just care about yourself. And it's like, that's having an overwhelming sense of cynicism is not the way you go about life. We still have we still have the civic duty, we still have the civic duty to adhere to our processes in voting and, in changing our local government if it's corrupt. Like, you don't just leave it up to one person. And I think that is the whole point in Trump's illustration in all of this. He has illustrated that our local governments are very much in charge of our everyday lives, and we should fight for that. Versus her messaging is like, you just shouldn't vote and you just shouldn't care anymore. I'm just going to play a
This
little
morning,
bit.
Donald Trump had a meeting with all the House Republicans, and he wishes that they would explain to him what the hell is going on with the public, saying he has the right policies and doesn't understand the recent criticism. Well, the first problem is if you really wanted to know what was going on with the public, the last people on the planet you should be asking are the House Republicans. They're not going to tell you the truth. They'll tell you it's online anti-Semitism that's being paid for by influence by Qatar and Iran. I'll try and
Like it's like these people say exactly what's going on, but they like caricature. They make it they illustrate it as a caricature. Like, this is what they think is going on. It's like, is this is what we suspect very heavily is going on. I mean, look at Tucker Carlson, who is like, there's paperwork that shows that he didn't get paid directly, but the people that supervise him were paid to interview the prime minister of Qatar. He's buying a house in Qatar. He's having all these talking points that are so anti-American, and you know what I mean? Like, this is exactly what I think is going on, and I think she's just saying it out loud, hiding in plain sight.
trying to tell you the truth, so I'll tell you the truth from my perspective anyway. You campaigned on no new wars, but yet you've spent the majority of your first year as a president interfering in foreign conflict. While the rest of us really struggled this year, okay, with inflation. You tell us there's no inflation, but our pocketbooks tell us that there is inflation. You tell us that the economy is better, but our pocketbooks say that the economy is not better. That tactic didn't work under the Biden administration, and it sure as shit isn't working anymore now. Everybody hates Lindsey Graham. Everybody hates Lindsey Graham. The tariff conversation. You built up and built up and built up and built up that we were going to get all this money from tariffs and that maybe eventually we weren't going to have to pay income taxes anymore. But so far, none of that has come to fruition.
Because it's only been a year. Like, it's only been a couple months. It's a year. It's been a year. It's been a year. It's like, I don't understand how people think that this is supposed to work so fast. Trump is doing so many other things, but I just don't understand how people think that this is rushed and should
You
work
offered
so
us
fast.
instead was $2,000 checks, and I am firmly convinced you only offering us these $2,000 tax rebates in order to ensure that we're going to file our taxes. That the only reason you're doing that is because of the tax rule conversation that has been happening for a couple months now, and it finally caught fire. You built a ballroom. Fine. Build a ballroom. Fine. Use rich people's money to build the ballroom. I don't really care if you build a ballroom, but I don't understand why that was made a priority in the first year of your presidency and why you've tried to make it such a big deal in the first year of your presidency when people can't buy homes. And instead of helping people buy homes or making sure that people were making...
By the way, I think this is super relevant, so I'm going to switch to this because I think this video may have come out after this announcement, but Trump actually, he announced today on True Social, for a very long time, buying and owning a home. I should have put this somehow on my thumbnail, but anyway, this is a big deal. He announced, President Trump, for a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered pinnacle of the American dream. It was the reward for working hard and doing the right thing. But now, because of the record high inflation caused by Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress, that American dream is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason and much more that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single family homes. This is humongous. These are things like BlackRock, who have been purchasing in single family homes, en masse, so that way the big idea is that we rent from these big corporations and that we don't own our homes outright. So he's banning this. I'm immediately taking steps to ban institutional investors from buying more single family homes, and I will be calling on Congress to codify it. People live in homes, not corporations. I will discuss this topic, including further housing and affordability proposals and more, at my speech in Davos in 2 weeks. Right? Um, so that's what I mean. People blackpill because they have such a cynical viewpoint or perspective on life, and they don't know what comes next. They don't know, that because they have no faith, they have no hope. They're just giving up. And that's the opposite of what God causes to do. I'm going to show you guys that too.
Making enough money to buy homes or even cars at this point, you offer them 50-year mortgages, which is basically a precursor to universal and generational debt. The Epstein documents. You called it a hoax. We all know it's not a hoax. We know it's not a hoax.
And let me just comment on that. The Epstein documents, I think that there was a lot of buildup around the Epstein documents. And I know because I was one of the content creators hoping and digging on these things. You guys can go back on my channel and look at all of the videos that I have created on Epstein and, his associates. But there was this like expectation of like some list and like all of the children that were, supposedly trafficked by Epstein, where, a lot of the evidence from what I've seen as well, from what I've researched, um, yes, there were minors that Epstein did exploit, but there's like this weird expectation that there was like a slew of other children, and we're just waiting for that to be declassified, which I'm not sure that I ever, you know, I'm not sure that I ever was contextually believing that there was a whole other operation. I know that he went as young as high schoolers, and then there were other victims of his ring that were of age. But as far as this list, I think that there was just a lot of buildup to it, and the reason why I say that is because, and it's not at all to defend Epstein or defend any of these. He's still a scumbag, and anybody who orbited him, and enjoyed all of the, all of the exploitation part of his orbit, they are scumbags as well. I'm just saying, like, I think that there was a buildup because of the conspiracy sensationalism, the Rachel Chandler, and there's this like whole thing that was drummed up of Rachel Chandler, which we just don't genuinely know. Some of her friends were like shady, and they were um weird, like Bianca, like one of her model, it was like one of her model associates or whatever, like she was a weirdo. But there was never, I don't think that there was ever like this definitive list that we were pointed to, you know what I mean, when it comes to like the children that we were all believing. Um like I said, there's parts of Epstein. I'm not at all like minimizing Epstein, but I do believe that there was a lot that was sensationalized. And I always bring this up, but for instance, there was a whole conspiracy theory on Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington making this documentary exposing human trafficking. I did a whole series on that, and I did a whole dig on that. I was expecting so much, and I was expecting that this would be true. But the more and more that I dug, I'm like, there's nothing that supports this hypothesis whatsoever. It's important if it was real, like if they were really funding this documentary and somehow like the deep state got to them, then that's very pertinent and we should find out. And that's why I did my due diligence to dig very deeply. And it's like that is a very parallel adjacent conspiracy theory that I dug on, and I'm like, that's not necessarily true. What we expected of this whole thing wasn't necessarily true, so that's all I'm saying. I'm not minimizing them at all. But yeah.
We arrested some asshat from Venezuela in the middle of the night, get him on a plane, flew him back to this country, and then are trying him in New York in like 14 hours. We couldn't arrest one person that was involved in the Epstein list. You know that they shouldn't be redacted. You know that there's names of very high profile people on there that were sleeping with children. We arrested the president of Venezuela.
This is exactly what I'm saying. I love Pepe Clifton's comment here. Is that the QAnon crowd were the ones who pumped that propaganda and demand answers for nonsense. And that's like, I gotta agree with that. Like, I gotta agree. And there was at one point, like, I've got to be honest with you guys. At one point, I was adjacent to a lot of the QAnon, Q crowd or whatever. And up to this point, like, I'm not even demonizing Q, the whole, like, the post or anything like that, but, I would say, like, it was the influencers and it was people like me, pumping up the sensationalist, the sensationalism of the conspiracy theories, up until a point where I was actually doing some pretty good research, and I was like, "You know what? It's okay to accept that this is not sensational. It's okay to accept that what we originally thought is not what we thought. It's not backed by what we thought. This is actually not there are no contextual clues, there are no, concrete pieces of evidence that support this conspiracy theory, and I think that people are afraid of admitting that. People are just really married to this idea that these conspiracy theories have to be true, and it's not necessarily the case. I'm not demonizing Q followers at all. I'm just said Baby Clifton said, I'm a recovered Q-tard." I think, I'd have to say me too. Q I think I would have to say me too, because, it's okay to accept, like, a lot of what we thought may have not been true. You know what I mean? This list and, this propaganda may have not been true. So, anyway, um all I wasn't supposed to play all that, just to take away from time, but anyway, General Mike Flynn quote retweeted this, and my problem with General Mike Flynn lately is that he's been countering a lot of, like, Trump does something good or Trump calls something good, his endorsements, things like this, and it's like there's always this counter messaging, and it's like there's already enough against Trump. You know what I mean? There's already enough against Trump. Why are we trying to counter everything that he's doing, everybody that he's endorsing, everybody that he's patting on the back? You know what I mean? And again, I have to repeat to you guys, I was one of the people that was smeared for defending General Mike Flynn years ago. I was one of the influencers that was slandered across the internet. Um, being called that, like, I was the deep state and I was doing all this stuff. And it was like just because I was defending General Mike Flynn. So I feel like my perspective is valid now, where it's like I genuinely see Mike Flynn doing this stuff and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Like, why are you quote retweeting these people? Why are you endorsing these people? I'm gonna show you another tweet here. Um so Brendan Dilley, who is a podcaster, very pro-Trump, he's noticing the same things about, what General Mike Flynn is doing. And he's basically like, Trump praised Speaker Mike Johnson for his hard work. And, Mike Flynn is basically talking about, like, Speaker Mike Johnson has, like, all of these ties to daycares and, like, he's not doing his part in the fraud. Let's just take a listen to what he has to say, because I'm going to counter this.
So people know, and I'm very transparent about what I'm doing out there for the most part. I am in the process because I want Speaker Johnson to do more. And so we started looking at Speaker Johnson's PACs and how many of his PACs turn money back around to daycare and healthcare clinics and that kind of stuff. It's incredible the amounts of money. And that's one person, but he happens to be the Speaker of the House. So this is not a partisan thing for me. So people.
Okay, so he's nitpicking at Speaker Johnson. Apparently, he has some sort of, money. And what he's alleging is that there's funny money and it's going to places that we're all suspecting right now. And here's the thing, like, genuinely, I just think that people need to take the speck out of their own eye, because this is recent. General Mike Flynn was soliciting funding from Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is an alleged indicted human trafficker who is also accused of trafficking minors. So if you're gonna go and talk about other people having funny money, like why are you over here soliciting funding from an alleged human trafficker? Especially to the fact that General Mike Flynn, he has a part, if anything, I think this is his organization, America's Future, this organization that continuously hosts human trafficking 101 classes, courses, keynote speakers, specialists in the industry. Like, do you not think that even if Andrew Tate right now, there's a process, and I understand that, and this is a Romanian process, all that, although he's an American, he has dual citizenship. Don't you think that whilst there is a process that is waiting to happen on this case of his human trafficking allegations, don't you think it would be a smart thing, especially that you are the head or one of the top board people of your organization that prides itself on its anti-human trafficking efforts? Don't you think it would be wise not to do that, or not to, fraternize with people like that? I just think like we need to just call this stuff out. Like people, conservatives are really afraid of calling this stuff out. And this is just another example. This was back last year, almost to the year, where one of his board members, Ivan Raiklin, they were commending Andrew Tate. They were cheering like cheerleaders that Andrew Tate was following them, and that they were going to, like, I don't know, join them in some effort. And General Mike Flynn, again, he did endorse this. He was like, I'm all in. So he knows what he's doing, is what I'm trying to say. This was a year ago where he was like cheerleading Andrew Tate and his association with, whatever, like him wanting to do work with America's Future, or whatever their initiative was. So this is what I'm trying to say. So 1 year later, General Mike Flynn is still fraternizing with Andrew Tate, the alleged human trafficker. That's all I'm saying. Like, so don't come at other people with funny money when you're soliciting out in the open publicly from alleged human traffickers. So I'm going to kind of just pivot into cynicism. So let's talk about cynicism and why it's not good. Now, the Bible, it warns you to judge righteously, but the Bible also has a balance with, not overly not being overly cynical about everything. And there's a little line here in Hebrews that talks about that, Hebrews 12:15, where it says, I'm going to start at 14, continually pursue peace with everyone and sanctification, without which no one will ever see the Lord. See it to that no one falls short of God's grace, that no root of resentment springs up and causes trouble, and by it many be defiled. Okay. So basically talking about like no root of resentment. Like if you have this root of resentment, like this is going to fester, it's going to make you bitter. And what, realistically, the Bible acknowledges that you are human, and when you take root of resentment, like what is that going to do for you, and what is it going to do for other believers? You know what I mean? You should be giving other people hope. You should be proclaiming the good news. Philippians, it talks about, dwelling on all the things that are good, all the things that are lovely. And why is that? Because there's hope in these things, right? So it's not good to be cynical about absolutely everything. All right. Okay. So we went through that. I am kind of good on time. All right. So Candace Owens tonight. I don't want to harp too much on Candace Owens tonight. I have some few short clips that I posted on my X account. If you guys are following me there, it's natlydenise_. If you're not, go follow me there. So basically tonight, she dedicated her entire show, like 1 hour full of just attacking Ben Shapiro. And in my personal opinion, like this is like for the first time, and I know that like this is it's not misplaced. It's like coming from a place where I kind of know that this is a pivotal time where she's probably going to have a downfall very, very soon, because she dedicated an entire episode on Ben Shapiro, attacking Ben Shapiro. She had some veiled anti-Semitic attacks, on Jewish people. She named the whole episode DEFCON 3, and I think that the reason why I say I feel sorry for her is because she's at the edge. She's at the edge where she's now, normalizing. She's trying to, how do I say this? She has expended all of her edgelord, and now she's at the edge, the edgiest of the edgelord, and she can't go any further. It's like, it's not surprising anymore. There's no more shock factor because she has done it so much. I guess that's like the best way that I can put it. So tonight she accused Ben Shapiro of perverting the legacy of a dead man, which she was talking about Charlie Kirk, of course. Now, again, she's a pure projection. This is pure projection because this is what she's been doing for an entire 4-month arc. It's just listen to what she has to say.
And if it is a gang, an entertainment gang, if you will, that I and Charlie Kirk both.
Oh, let me, there we go. Yeah. And she's talking about this gang. She's talking about, I believe she's talking about just Jewish people in general, because, she says that they were controlling her and she was in this gang and she didn't know she was in this gang. That's what she's talking about.
Gang, an entertainment gang, if you will, that I and Charlie Kirk both unwittingly signed ourselves up for, and allowed me to express that I have been getting jumped out for the last 2 years. And Charlie Kirk, well, guess what? He wasn't so lucky. He's dead now. He's dead now. When he wanted out, he was killed. And Ben Shapiro's behavior since Charlie Kirk's assassination leads me to believe that he may know more than the public knows about Charlie Kirk's death. That's how I deeply feel. I feel that in my soul. He's behaving as though Charlie's company was promised to him 3,000 years ago, okay? Like he assumed that he would somehow benefit off of his death, and I'm getting in the way of that somehow. And by the way, if he did benefit from Charlie's death, it would not be the first time. In fact, it wouldn't be the first time at all that Ben Shapiro sought to pervert the legacy of a dead man to his own benefit. What am I talking about? Yeah, I'm talking about what Ben Shapiro did before he started the Daily Wire. Now, I know that
All right, so basically projecting that Ben Shapiro is somehow out to get TPUSA, although it was the Daily Wire that I think they donated $1 million to TPUSA the moment that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And it's her that has been trying to taint the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Now, in this clip, she is completely dehumanizing. I mean, I'm going to show you this like old. Okay, I'm going to show you this first, actually. Let me show you this first before I show you that. There is this Nazi propaganda right here. You guys see this? You guys see that? This is Nazi propaganda, and it's titled "The Worm." Okay, so keep that in mind before I show you this clip. And it says, the caption says, "Where something is rotten, the Jewish person is the cause. The Jew is the cause." Explanation: the names in the background are those of the Jews involved in major financial scandals. The what is it? The apple is named the German economy. The worm is named the Jewish scandals. Okay, so keep this in mind. This is Nazi propaganda. This is a real cartoon from the Nazi propaganda days. Now listen to this clip. Listen to this clip.
he sees health and he believes that it belongs. Ben's a parasite. He's a worm. I meant that. He sees health and he believes that it belongs to him. His trade is not commentary, it's not politics, it's theft. And in the case of Andrew Breitbart, he behaves like a maggot on a corpse, like he's doing right now with Charlie Kirk. Ben's a parasite. He's a worm. I meant that. He sees health and he believes that it belongs to him. His trade is not commentary, it's not politics, it's theft. And in the case of Andrew Breitbart, he behaves like a maggot on a corpse, like he's doing right now with Charlie Kirk. Ben's a parasite. He's a worm. I meant that. He sees health and he believes that it belongs to him.
I am honestly like, I know that she's been vile before, but this is what I mean, like, she's at the edge where she can no longer raise the bar on how vile she can be. She has pretty much come out as a full anti-Semite. She is exercising this language every day now. And now, like, I feel bad for her because it's like, this isn't edgy anymore. Like, she has expended the extent of her vileness, of being vile. I don't know if vileness is a word, but she's there where she's like, she is trying to scrounge more and more shock value. And at this point, I'm so used to her being vile, this even is hitting the edge to an extent where it's like, this is getting old, but it's still very vile, that she is, speaking like this as a mother, as a Christian, you know what I mean? Like, this is vile. So dehumanizing Ben Shapiro, and you guys saw that Nazi propaganda poster that I just showed you, where they did characterize Jewish people as worms, and it even said in that poster, that the peach was considered the German economy. So I think Candace Owens knows what she's doing. I think she knows what she's doing and what she's talking about, what she's referring to. Um, Now, in this other one, this is like another culty. She has like culty language where she's talking about the dream again. And I'm telling you, like, this is it. Like, I watched the entire podcast tonight. I was like, this is getting sad. Like, I can see why her podcast went from number 1 to plummeting at this point. I think last week it was at number 27, and now it's at number 57 or 59 on the charts, which is still pretty high. Still pretty high for a podcast. But I think that her followers are losing interest because it's resulting in episodes like this. Now, this is another attempt at being a cult leader, in my personal opinion. Listen to this.
To have people then mock me for saying that I had a dream, and I feel as strongly about the dream that I had, that Charlie was betrayed by people closest to him. Like, nothing could stop Charlie from believing that he was going to die and that I would stand up for him. Nothing you can say, no jokes you can make, no shows you can no right, that is going to pull me away from the feeling, the knowing. It is so deep. It is a knowing. It's not even a feeling. It's a knowing. It's not a dream to me. It's like a prophecy. It's like Charlie was betrayed. I don't know what else to say to you. And I hope I give you guys the permission to believe in something like that. To this whole world, I feel like, is designed to make us not believe in ourselves. And I think that's something that Kanye used to say a lot too. Like, they want you to follow the crowd. You can't sit with us. We're the cool kids, right? The cool kids all listen to this person. They all wear this color. Oh, the cool kids don't pay any mind when they have a very vivid dream. And Charlie in the dream says he was betrayed. Oh, the cool, that's so, it's not cool. I'm not.
Okay, I don't even know, but she's basically elevating the dream as like the original dream. When she said she had a dream, Charlie Kirk came to her in a dream. And again, she's just recycling material at this point. She's losing relativity. So anyway, I wanted to pivot. I probably should have pivoted into this, but I want you guys to listen to this clip. It's a very quick one. It's 2 minutes long, but I think that this is so relevant to what we're seeing in the conservative sphere being infiltrated and the rampant anti-Semitism. And here's the thing: like, I never really paid attention to this the anti-Semitism until it was heightened up to this point, you know what I mean? And seeing so many anti-Semites in the church is what concerned me. And so, immediately I knew that this was spiritual warfare, but not just that. Like, there are adversaries of ours that genuinely are anti-Semitic, and this is beneficial to them if they could infiltrate our culture to be more anti-Semitic. And this was a really good, profound clip.
as a threat to American values. As a threat to American values. How is it a threat to American security?
Well, anti-Semitism is being pushed by our adversaries, China, Russia. If the international politics today is a contest between the United States on the one hand, or the United States and its allies on the one hand, and China and its allies, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, our enemies are working aggressively to push anti-Semitism around the globe. I mean, Russian and Chinese propaganda is pushing anti-Semitic themes in Asia and Africa, where you have no Jews. Now, why are they doing that? That's because they are depicting the American alliance system as inherently colonialist, and they are using the example of Israel and Gaza as the stereotypical example of American colonialism. They are amplifying anti-Semitic voices inside the United States because it sets us against each other. I mean, the argument about Israel in America has always been and is now an argument about America. It's not simply or primarily an argument about Israel. It's about what kind of country do we want, who should be ruling it, what should the principles of the of governance be, and so on and so forth. So we need to be aware of the fact that this larger contest is going on and how our adversaries are using it. That's why I think we need to look closely at what happened in Bondi Beach. Maybe this was just two fathers, two crazy guys, a father and son team, who decided they wanted to kill Jews. But I doubt it. I suspect that there's a hand behind this, because they see an advantage in setting Australians against each other, and setting us and creating dissension within our alliance system over this question.
Yeah. Yeah. I genuinely, I mean, it makes sense. It's all aligned. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that our adversaries would want to infiltrate as much anti-Semitism to fracture the conservative party. It's almost perfect. And yeah, I do remember these, conspiracy theories and these blind libels going around earlier, in the a few years ago. I just never thought that it would be so mainstreamed and heightened the way that it is now. And yeah, I don't jive with that. I don't jive with that at all. So that would make sense. That would fracture us even more. That would fracture us. So anyway, okay, Tyrone. We've got a troll in the chat. So he says, Candace, which is not spelled right, by the way. You're not really. I think that this is a bot, possibly, because everybody knows how to spell Candace, but Candace with an I is right about the Jew Bible. They do believe we are animals and they are above you. That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense. The Jew Bible. The Jew Bible. I don't even, are you talking about the Talmud? Like, is that what you're talking about? Because the Talmud has been misquoted. There are rabbinic arguments in the Talmud. There was no emails or social media. There were no ways to, communicate other than letters and writing things down. And a lot of things have been mischaracterized and misquoted from the Talmud, if that's what you're talking about. If you're gonna, hate Jewish people and find reasons to do that, then at least be informed about it and be educated about it. But this shows me that, again, this is a low IQ hate. It's an ancient low IQ hate. It's easy to just blame things on another group of people. You know what I mean? And it's the same critical theory as radical leftists back in 2017, who were blaming everything on, white people. And it was like, that wasn't right either. You know what I mean? It's just an easy scapegoat. You just want to blame it on a group of people. and it's not right. It's just a very fragile ideology of yours. So that's what I have to say about that clown. All right. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you all so much for tuning in. And I will be back tomorrow. We'll see what happens tomorrow. If you guys have any suggestions for anything that you want me to cover, just comment in the comments below. All right, guys, you have a great night. Get some great rest, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.